All right, we have some Texas Chainsaw Massacre news, which is pretty interesting and pretty dope, if I may add. This comes to us from Bloody Disgusting. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Fede Alvarez, who is writing and directing the newest sequel, which again is a sequel to the original film, not a reboot, not a remake, nothing like that. Or excuse me, Fede Alvarez is producing. I cannot talk today. I don't know what the deal is. I can't talk.
He's had a rough morning, guys.
I have. I don't know why. I'm losing it. He's producing a feature film that is bringing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series back. It is a direct sequel to the original, and he confirmed that and also said that we are going to get Old Man Leatherface, which is really, really cool. We've already gotten Old Man Michael Myers in Halloween 2018, and we'll continue that in Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. But this is interesting because it's a much different setting. It's a much different character. I'm really curious to see how they do Old Man Leatherface and how that's going to change his character. Fede was on the Boo Crew podcast, which if you guys haven't checked out the Boo Crew podcast for Bloody Disgusting, it's dope. You definitely should. What do you think of the Old Man Leatherface deal, Miguel?
Well, I mean, what is Leatherface? He's like, last time I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Leatherface was just like a grown man, but a child at the same time, right?
Yeah, it's like a child in a grown man's body, and I mean,
so like, what's gonna happen? Is he gonna like act like a teenager in this one?
I don't.
Is that how? Is that how?
That's what I'm really curious to see, because I mean, all of his family would be, I mean, they would have died from old age by then. You know what I mean? So I assume this is just him alone. And, you know, in the original one, they kind of cared for him, and he was, you know, not cared for him because they were awful to him. You kind of feel bad for him in the original because of how terrible his hick family treated him. But I don't know. I'm curious to see. I mean, you're talking almost 60 years after the events of the first one, and he was probably in his 20s, I would assume, in the first film. I mean, he's been taking care of himself all this time. He's been alone. So I'm curious to see like how that changes his character and how that changes his weird, screwed up mind. The other thing that Fede Alvarez said that I found really interesting was that everything is classic old school gags. A lot of the approach that we had with Evil Dead was to never use VFX, to do everything on camera. It's a very old school approach to filmmaking. Vintage lenses. It's very similar to the original film, which is awesome because, I mean, if anybody who has seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that is the ambiance and the atmosphere in that movie is really weird. And even if you look at the color grading, I mean, obviously, because of the story and because of what it is and where it's set, it's got that hick, out in the middle of nowhere, weird vibe to it, where everything is just kind of like strange and unsettling. But I don't know. Even in the color grading and the tone of every shot, it's got this orangish brown. It looks very vintage, like he said. So I'm excited to see that they're going to bring back that vintage look to it.
Yeah, same. And also, like, I was low-key scared of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was like one of the ones that actually kind of freaked me out because, I mean, he is a deranged little guy with a chainsaw, and
absolutely,
that's someone you want to get out of your way. It's like, if you saw him like out in the street, yeah, that's someone you want to either want to put down or get the hell out of his way. And that poster right there I'm looking at, that is scary as hell.
Yeah, this is the official poster we got a few weeks ago, or not a few weeks ago, a few months ago. And it's got the caption at the bottom. In 1974, the world witnessed one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history. In 2021, the face of madness returns. As far as I've seen, this is not going to get pushed. I don't know what they have filmed. I haven't really taken that deep of a dive into it yet, but it's interesting. And if you notice, do you see right here on his chin?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah,
the original.
I noticed that. I thought that was pretty dope.
I think that's really cool. Have you noticed anything else on this poster? I don't see anything other than
No,
that.
I didn't really see anything else. I think it was that one. But the other thing, also coming to us from Bloody Disgusting, that I found really interesting is that they are bringing back Sally, who was the final girl in the original film. Of course, the last time we saw her was she escapes that disgusting dinner table scene and runs out of the house, and she gets in the back of the truck, and she's driving away while Leatherface is just kind of screaming and in anger and frustration and what his just fit of rage in the street, and it cuts to black, which is a gorgeous shot. Have you ever seen the original film?
I don't remember it honestly, but I do remember that scene.
Yeah, that it's an amazing ending scene because it just kind of stops. Like it's this like wild and crazy moment, and then it just cuts to black and it's over. But this is, and I am going to say her name wrong. Olwen Fouere. I don't know.
It sounds French.
I apologize. I have seen her before. She seems like a great actress. But again, they've never brought back Sally, who was in the original film, the original final girl. I'm very curious to see how they bring her character back, because this isn't like I don't think they would take the Michael Myers route where he's going to go after her like they did in some of the later Halloween sequels. Mm-hmm. He just lives out in the middle of nowhere in Texas, and that was like just happenstance that she ran into him. So I mean, you got to think, if you're Sally and you're an old woman now and you survive this god awful terrible crime, you're not going to go back there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense for her to go back, but I don't know.
I'm curious to see how they meet up. Like what I don't know. Like how does the two of them come back into contact with each other? But yeah, Marilyn Burns, who played Sally in the original film, she passed away back in 2014. But we had Texas Chainsaw 3D, and this article brings that up, which was another direct sequel to the original. I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was kind of cool. It was there was like the whole weird "do your thing, cuz" moment at the end. Like it was kind of strange. It didn't feel as serious as the original one, but it was fun. I mean, it was fun just to see that on screen again. Mm-hmm. But again, this article says,
did you see it in 3D?
I did. I actually saw it with Chris and my dad in 3D. We went and saw it.
I mean, did the 3D like enhance anything, or was it just like
Not really. It was cheap 3D.
Yeah,
it was not. It didn't really add to. It didn't add to the whole story. You'll think this is funny. When the studio was originally going to do Rob Zombie's Halloween 3, before they rebooted it and sold the rights to Blumhouse, they were going to do Halloween 3D. That would have been the worst. You want to talk about H2 being bad? No thanks.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like much of an interest to me. I don't know. 3D movies just aren't my thing. Yeah. And plus, if anyone does 3D, it's like, I don't know. You got to make the whole movie like directed towards 3D, and that could take away from the story itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, I haven't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 3D, and that's a really creepy shot right there.
Yeah. So this is who
she tied to hands.
She is tied to like the chair, and the arm of the chair is her hands. It's a disgusting scene. Like I will say the remakes from 2003 and 2006, I believe. The reboot, it's one of the better reboots of a horror franchise from the 2000s. Mm-hmm. I think it's probably the best of the remakes. But I'm very excited, even the article we just talked about, to see that old vintage style. They're bringing back the same camera angles, the same vibe, and the fact that we're getting Sally back. I thought that was really interesting, and I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I think it would be cool to see. I like these new reboots of these old horror movies, and they're actually like bringing old cast, because let's be honest, like back in I guess it was like the early 90s or so, like when these horror movies were like dropping, and they were just like, hey, we got to make another sequel. Bang, bang, boom. They were just really cheap. Let's be honest.
Well, and not only that, but honestly, I've only seen bits and pieces of the TCM sequels, mm-hmm. because they're not serious. It was like horror comedy. The original was very serious and very gritty and very dark. And then like part 2 and part 3, I mean, it was stupid. It was literally to be funny. Like that was the point. So yeah. I'm excited to see like a really serious take on the original. But all right.